Alright, hello everybody. I am gonna say the usual, so sorry that I've been gone. Just juggling, life and everything, so I'm sorry if the uploads are slow. But I've been streaming quite regularly over on my Twitch, so if y'all miss me, I'm over there quite frequently. Anyways, we're gonna do a little speed paint today because I'm actually, for like the first time ever, backlogged in my realism pieces. So we got a good speed paint for you guys today. I'm really excited about this one because this one is actually a speed paint for an animation I did. And you'll just see, and I'll talk about my process and all that, but I'm actually really happy with this one. And I wasn't actually planning on doing it, and then I got a school assignment, and then I asked the teacher, and I was like, hey, can I do an art piece instead of an essay for this? And she was like, sure, but no one's done that before. And I was like, that's fine, I got it. And that's what I did. So yeah, I'm really excited to show you guys this one. And unfortunately, I did use After Effects, and I don't have a time lapse for my process in that, so I'll just have to glaze over that part. Anyways, let's just get right into the speed paint. Alright, so I'm actually going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to start with the speed paint, obviously, as you can see, and then afterwards we're going to look at the finished product. So in this one, I actually had quite a bit of trouble with the face and the hair, and you're gonna see me retry quite a few times. And I don't know, I wanted to get it semi-realistic, realistic being a loose term, but I also wanted it to stay within the realm of what I know and love, which is, anime-esque. So that was a little bit tricky to juggle, but I did it, I think. Well, you guys could be the judge of that. But anyways, I redo it a couple times, and you actually, as you can see, I really try a couple different things with the hair, and I can't get it. I can't get it. So you see, I actually erase all of it, and this is where I decided that I would be drawing Misa from Death Note. It was a little bit of I don't know who I'm drawing, so I just want to pick someone whose vibes this would match, but then also I did want to do a fan art, and I knew that, so I just was like, okay, this is my idea, who as a character will fit this idea the best? And so I picked Misa. I hope you can tell it's Misa. Maybe once the colors are down you can tell. But anyways, this is me doing the flats, and you'll notice I'm actually putting things on different layers. So when something is really, really light opacity, you'll see I'm kind of coloring weirdly. So if something's really, really light opacity, it means I'm putting the same color but on a different layer, and you'll see why when we get to the animation. If anyone watching has used Adobe After Effects, that is what I used. I made this all in Procreate. I colored it and rendered it and all that in Procreate, and then I put it all into Adobe After Effects and I animated it. And if you know anything about Adobe After Effects, highly recommend you learn if you're interested in it's a very nice bridge between just like drawing and animation. It's not quite animation in the sense of frame by frame, but it's also getting a little out of your comfort zone and thinking about things in more of an animation perspective. So I would suggest it if anyone else is interested. I know Adobe does cost money. Very sad, I know. It's also like a subscription, which is so dumb. I am a firm believer all art programs should be one price and then done, but whatever. Anyways, so I'm gonna put this into Adobe After Effects later, and I don't have the Adobe After Effects time-lapse, so I will have to just explain it, which is unfortunate because it's a little bit complicated, but I'm hoping you guys can just roll with it, and I hope I also explain it well enough. So all of these things need to be on different layers because they're all gonna move individually, and the individual layers will be more clear once I render it a little bit. So as you can see right here, I'm rendering the palm of the big hand. That's just what I called it. I think in the project it's actually labeled big hand, so I mean, I'm not wrong. But here you can see a little bit of the different layers that I used to make sure everything can move, and all the fingers are different layers too. So just gonna render this one. I'm really bad at rendering palms, like the hand palms. They're just kind of, I don't know, they're kind of weird, and they're a different texture than the top of your hands, and I have a hard time with it, but whatever. Also, you'll notice on the side, on the left, my color palette. So because I was using so many different layers, there were kind of two options. I could just take one color and, you know, do the shading on everything that was that color, which is totally an option, but I chose to do it where I would fully render one layer and then I would move on, which would mean I needed to save the colors I use, because I use a lot of adjustment layers, and I use a lot of like playing with the lighting and the layer effects, and so sometimes the color it ends up was not the color that's like literally in my color picker. So that's why I saved my, oh my goodness, colors, so I could make everything look uniform and the same without, you know, stressing myself out. This is something I learned from doing this project before, so I learned my lesson. It's kind of a nightmare with the amount of adjustments I make to my layers as well. It's an absolute, not even kind of, it's an absolute nightmare to find the color I used after I've put so many adjustments on it and like edited it. I love that word. Edited it so much. But anyways, so if you'll notice how I'm doing each finger at a time, it's because each finger is going to be its own layer and also animated separately. And I really do wish Adobe After Effects recorded a time-lapse like how Procreate does, but I don't think it does. I mean, if you guys know and can tell me if it does, please let me know, because that would be really cool to be able to include in this, but I don't think so. So that was me deciding whether or not I wanted a shadow under the palm, like from the fingers, but then I thought about it and I was like, there's no light coming from the camera view. There's only light coming from the top. I don't know what I'm doing. So that's why I decided against it. Also, if it does slightly bother me, so I will explain it. My sketch layer and the strings are slightly off because I realized that the strings would actually interfere with some things if I put them where I put them in my sketch. So I ended up moving the strings a little bit, and they actually move a little, like quite a bit. The strings move around. So also, you'll notice I'm working on the hair right now, which if you've seen other time lapses from me is weird, and it's also weird because I worked on half of the hair and now I'm moving on. This is because I'm working from back to front, so the first set of layers I worked on was the hand, because that hand is technically in the very back of the whole image, and so I'm working back to front. So the next thing that is, you know, back is her hair and then her neck, because, you know, her hair is connected to her neck, and I will add a shadow here, which the shadow actually caused me some problems later on, but we'll get to that. And now I'm doing her arm, because again, we're going back to front. And this will make so much more sense when you see it animated. I know it looks so funky, but and as I said before, Adobe After Effects, if you use the puppet pin tool, is actually a really nice bridge between animation and rendering if you are wanting to try animation, but, you know, frame by frame is kind of scary. It's a really good bridge, but you do have to draw and create your piece in a way that will set it up for success in Adobe After Effects. So it's a little bit hard to think about at first, and you know, this is my second piece using this method, so you know, I've already had trial and error of the first one, but also this isn't perfect either, and I'll talk about some of the challenges I had later on. As I said, like that shadow, that messes me up later, and I'll try to explain why. It's a little hard without having the program in front of me, but I will do my best for you guys. So next we're just doing the hand, and as I said, hands are the bane of my existence, so I used my own hands as reference. Thank God I had long nails at the time, because I think, it's been a while since I watched Death Note, but I believe Misa has some pretty nice long nails. I believe they're usually painted red, but maybe that's just like me thinking that for no reason. But anyways, so this is me doing the eye, and I know it looks really weird because I'm taking the iris and completely painting it and then putting it onto the eyeball, but it will make sense, as I said, when you see the final animation, because the thing about After Effects is you can totally, like, you can draw things fully, and unlike in Procreate, well, I guess Procreate can do it as well, but you can animate things within other drawings. So let's say I want that iris to move, foreshadowing, I need to draw the whole thing, so in After Effects I can make it move, but I can still use a clipping mask, just like I would in Procreate, to, you know, make sure the iris isn't just floating right above her shirt or something. So, if you ever want to draw, or you ever want to see something completely in After Effects, you have to draw it, and then, you know, you can place it where you want, and, you know, maybe a certain part of it is only showing at a given time, but it maybe rotates, so you do see the whole thing, but maybe not all at once. After Effects can totally do that, but you do need to draw the whole thing first. So, like, as you can see, her fingers are covering most of the iris. However, later on, when I animate, the iris will be more visible than it is now, so I couldn't just do that sliver of the iris. I have to do the whole thing. So, long explanation. I hope that makes sense. Again, I understand if it doesn't because I don't have the program in front of me. This was by far the hardest part, because maybe this is a good thing, but I don't actually know what it looks like when an eyeball gets ripped out and someone's holding it. I don't know, like, the consistency. That sounds so gross. I don't know, like, what the blood splatter would look like. I don't know. So this was, like, the hardest part for me personally, because I am all about making things accurate, and I like realism, but obviously I still draw anime characters who are not real people, and they don't look like real people. But I do like to get as close to realism as I can, while still walking on that, you know, anime, you can tell what anime character it is, border. So I'm trying my best to make the blood look accurate, but any forensic scientists out there, you can correct me, because I really didn't want to look this reference up, I'm not gonna lie. That is not really a reference I was super keen on seeing. I've done a few, like, gore related pieces, and, you know, if they're inaccurate, I'm sorry, but I really just did not want to look up what a ripped out eyeball looked like. So as you can see, I'm doing, like, the middle hair, and I don't know if any of you have played any games where, I'm specifically thinking of Pop Tropica. That was what I was playing when I was young, but and how Pop Tropica, you could have, like, the back of your head a certain hairstyle and the front of your head a different hairstyle, so you could, like, mix and match. That's kind of what I'm doing here, although I'm doing even a step further and doing back of the hair, like middle of the head, and then bangs. So she looks a little silly right now, and I know, but it's all to make sure everything can move. And, you know, if things are separated, it's so much easier to animate them and make them move than it is if they're, like, stuck together, because they can distort each other. If you move one thing but it's connected to another, it, like, can distort it and make it look stupid, and yeah. Anyways, so here's me, like, finally finishing it. This took me, I believe 16 hours, so definitely on the longer side. But yeah, that's what it looks like finished. Not even what am I talking about? This is what it looks like when I finished it. And I know it's not animated yet, I know, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. So this is the finished product, just still, and I'm pretty proud of it. You know, it's again, as I said, it took me a very long time, so I hope I'm proud of it. But yeah, so this is it all ready and prepared, and it's gonna go into After Effects. Well, not quite. There's one more step, and then it goes into After Effects. But yeah, we're almost there, guys. All right, so this is a little bit weird looking, and I know. So basically, I really wanted my piece to blink, because, you know, she's looking right at the camera. It would be weird if she didn't blink. So, After Effects is wonderful. It is not a frame-by-frame animation tool. I'm going to state that right now. I mean, I guess maybe if you tried really hard, but you cannot make After Effects into and use it to make frame-by-frame animations. So, yes, so I'm using Procreate again to frame by frame her blinking. It's not something that I would have been able to do in After Effects. I don't believe that program is really capable of doing that. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also just wouldn't use it because there are just other better programs for frame by frame that isn't After Effects. So anyways, I really initially wanted the blood to be a lot more, but I also wanted it to be a perfect loop, and if I made the blood more, it would have been a little bit more difficult. You would have seen the end of the loop start over again, because, you know, the blood would be everywhere, and then all of a sudden it would just disappear because it looped and started again. So I needed to make it more minimal, and you'll actually see that I erase a little bit afterwards because I notice. So I put like the blood teardrop and I go back, and because I did it and I was like, yeah, that looks cool, and then I'm like, oh wait, it has to loop, so I have this streak left on her face that I need to somehow get rid of right here. And so here I'm going back and erasing it so it looks like it's just falling down her cheek and then disappearing. Again, I do wish I could have added more blood coming out of her eyes, because I think if this were to happen to someone, it would be a little bit bloodier. But yeah, so now what I'm gonna do is put this frame by frame in with the rest of the still drawings in After Effects, and then I'm gonna move them, and then we're about to see the final animation. Ooh! Alright, and this is the final animation. I hope everything that I was saying now makes sense when you see it move. Alright, so I basically took the blinking, as you can see her do. I put it where it is, its little puzzle piece place right behind the bangs, but in front of the middle hair and her neck. And I just kind of, you know, I didn't change the shape of it at all, so it's basically just like a sticker in between those two layers. And then this might be a lot of gibberish to many people, and I'm sorry, so I will try to explain this as best I can in case there's anyone who has no idea what I'm talking about. But basically, I parented all of the head layers. So parenting means if you move one layer, the other layers that you parent will follow it. So I parented the back of her hair, her middle hair, her bangs, and her face all together. They're all parented to the face. And then I made the face move up and down because most people, I won't say all because of course there are exceptions, but most people when they breathe, their face lifts up a little bit, ever so slightly. And I really wanted her to have life to her. So, you know, and I had to completely render her hair all the way down because see how her head lifts up, and if I had ended the render right where her shoulders end, that would cause some problems because then all of a sudden her hair would just be not rendered and you'd be like, hey, what the heck? So I also have her shoulders lifting up ever so slightly because she is breathing. Her breathing is a little rapid, I will say. Again, this is only my second project in using this kind of style. I don't even know, method. So, you know, I can work on things, but I also have her her hands moving ever so slightly just to show some movement. I have them reaching forward a little bit. It is a little hard to see and because it is very subtle, but they are reaching forward. I have her fingers moving because I wanted you to really see the eyes, because I am aware that when I drew it initially, the fingers are closed and you can't really see that she's holding eyes. And, you know, that is fine, but, you know, when the focal point of this piece is arguably the eyes, I had to make sure those fingers got separated. So do you see, I hope it makes sense why all of her fingers are on separate layers, because let's say that pointer finger and that middle finger on her right hand were connected. Then everything I do to the pointer finger, the middle finger would also do, and sometimes they need to move in two different directions. In this case, those two fingers are moving quite similarly, but you know, what if the pointer and middle finger on her left hand were connected? It would be really hard for me to pull them apart like they're doing, and if I had put them on the same layer. So, you know, just stuff to think about. It's a learning curve, but I also have, you know, the hand floating ever so slightly, because, you know, that needs to have life to it as well. And yeah, and also the iris, you know, it's coming in from the side, looking around, and then it goes back. So if it wasn't fully drawn, then, you know, when it rolls around, that's so gross. When it rolls around, it's like, where'd the rest of the iris go? And then it wouldn't make sense. So that's why I drew it completely, even though in the still image you only saw a part of it. But yeah, this is the final piece. I apologize for the gore. I will put a warning, don't worry. But yeah, this was the piece. This was only the second time I did it, and I pushed kind of the limits of what I knew. So, you know, it was like kind of same thing that I'd done before, but also trying something new. I really enjoy After Effects. It's kind of one of my favorite, like, short little animation things. Like if you have a fully rendered piece like I do, but you don't want to like frame by frame a whole rendered piece, this is a great alternative to give it a little life without committing to frame by frame drawing. And well, you're not really supposed to full render frame by frame anyways, but it's a really good meet in the middle, and I personally really enjoy After Effects. So yeah, I hope you guys like this piece as well. It is up on my TikTok and Instagram, I believe. It's also in my portfolio, which is in the process. You guys don't have access to it right now, but I am in the process of making a portfolio, if you guys are ever interested in that. But yeah, I hope you guys like this piece. I really do. Despite, you know, the ways I could see it improve, I am also very happy with what I did. Also considering I did not have my computer when I made this. I had my MacBook Air making this, and you know, my MacBook, she did a great job. I'm proud of her. She was a trooper. It's kind of a heavy program for a little MacBook, but she did it. I'm so proud of her. Alright, and that's the end of the video. Sorry if this is a little bit of a long one. There was a lot to cover. And I hope my explanations made sense, sort of. I'm not trying to make this an Adobe After Effects tutorial or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to explain my process and why I chose to do things to help myself later down the line in After Effects. But I hope things at least mildly made sense without being able to like point and really explain. But yeah, and if you guys like this piece, go show it some love. It's on Instagram and TikTok. And I am sorry for any viewers who it's a little too gory for. I apologize. But I think y'all should know me by now. I like having a touch of gore in my stuff, because I think if you use it tastefully, it can be a good emphasis in your piece. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will really try to start posting more. I do enjoy doing YouTube videos a lot. I'm so busy, guys. It's so bad, but you know, one day I'll be able to do this and just give you guys video after video. But that is not today. So anyways, I'll see you next time, whenever that is. I hope you enjoyed this video. Any support is greatly appreciated, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. No promises, just next time. Bye, guys.